Tennessee basketball is going to consecutive Sweet 16s under Rick Barnes. This time, a win over 7th-seed Texas here in Charlotte gets the job done. I'm Ryan Sylvia. This is Noah Taylor. We're with VolReport.com on the Rivals Network. Wasn't without dramatics. Tennessee's going to win this game 62-58. It takes some clutch free throws down the stretch. Dalton Knecht hits 4 of them. Jonas Aidoo hits 2 of them right before that. Let's talk about Dalton Knecht, though. Somewhat of a quiet night from him. Couldn't get a lot going on the offensive end. He's going to finish with 18 points, 5 for 18 shooting, just 1 for 8 on 3-pointers. Adds in 9 rebounds, which you'll definitely take in an assist, but maybe not the night we have come to expect from Dalton Knecht. So just what were your thoughts on his overall performance, but just how big that was that he was still able to step up and hit those 4 in a row from the line?
Yeah, because, I mean, he's been a guy this year that we talked to him back there in the locker room about it. You know, a guy that's missed some, maybe not so big moments like this, but he has missed some free throws, had some inconsistencies there. Man, they were the guy they wanted at the line tonight, and he, came through, like you said, with the 4. And then again, a second half. Overall, quiet night, based on what he's given us before. Had 23 against St. Peter's, obviously, but hit some timely shots in this game. A game that Tennessee felt in pretty much control of up until the final 2 minutes or so. So he was big in those. Hit a 3 there, but a lot of it was at the rim, what he was able to do, driving, getting some dunks. Got a pretty good answer out of him back there about what he prefers scoring-wise. Said he loves the dunks because it ignites the bench, and he gets a lot of guys hype, and it certainly did for Tennessee tonight. So, a quiet night from based on what we're used to, but some timely shots for sure.
I want to talk a little bit about Tobe Awaka, too. He comes in that first half, and he falls in a foul trouble. Picks up 3 in the first half, sits a lot of this game, ends the game with 4 fouls, plays 10 minutes and about 50 seconds of this game, but he was huge in those 10 minutes on the floor, really, when Tennessee didn't have much going on the offensive end. He comes in, gets physical in the paint, and is able to give Tennessee a little bit of a spark. His final line's 10 points, gets 8 of those in the first half, and then he's always good for some rebounds, 5 rebounds, 4 offensive rebounds in that mix. I guess, what's the balance there? Do you want to see Tobe Awaka stay physical and stay as that guy off the bench that's maybe not throwing elbows, but kind of getting dirty down there? How do you do that while balance may be fouling?
Yeah, I mean, I talked to him back there about that very question. I asked him about, was there any hesitation going in there? And he said no, he wanted to stay physical, knew he had to in this game especially. And I think that was really good to see for Tennessee. Yeah. He's obviously a guy that's, had some trouble staying on the court because of fouls. And, obviously you look at what he's done, and it kind of made you kind of surprised when you hear on the PA that he's picked up his 3rd foul, and there's, we're still in the first half, and you're like, oh man, this is going to be another one of those games. But he comes out. There was a moment early in that second half where he hits a big shot to kind of keep Tennessee in front, keep some momentum going. But I think it was good. I think Tennessee likes it. Rick Barnes especially likes to see him keep that aggressiveness and stay out of trouble, because he had the 3, but did a good job of not fouling out of this game when Tennessee really needed him. But just a phenomenal night from him. Kind of one of the unsung heroes, I think, for Tennessee.
Now, offensively, I talked about this a little bit in my takeaways. You can find those over at VolReport.com, and we've talked a little bit about it over in the Rocky Top Forum as well. But how are you looking at what Tennessee did from the perimeter tonight?
Yeah.
You shoot 3 for 25 on 3-pointers on the game. Just an abysmal mark. Percentage-wise, you're looking at 12% shooting. Are you taking that as maybe the optimistic look where, hey, we couldn't get a shot to fall? Rick Barnes said in the presser, lid's been on the rim. We feel like we can take it off. We feel like we're a good shooting team. We won in the face of that. Imagine what's going to happen when things start to fall. Or do you look at a kind of pessimistic way where this team needs to get it together, or else if you do that again, you're probably losing and going home?
Yeah, I think you can kind of look at it both. I think it's easy to look at the optimistic way right now because you won, because this is the kind of game that they lose in the NCAA tournament last year. I feel like, you can lean on the defense, but if you're not getting shots to fall, luckily they hit just enough in big moments, and obviously your defense played at just a really, really high level tonight. So I think you look at it from that point, hey, it was enough to keep our season going, but I think what you said is true too. You got to look at it from, you're potentially playing Creighton, a really good team. You're potentially maybe Oregon. It's only going to get tougher from here on out in the Sweet 16 the further you go. And you're right, I don't think Tennessee can afford to not hit shots on the perimeter like they did tonight. Obviously they survive it, but like I said, it was a game Tennessee felt in control of, but because of those scoring droughts that came in critical moments, it allowed Texas to kind of get going a little bit and come back there. I don't think you're going to be able to survive that going forward, but I think right now you can look at it optimistically.
No, defensively, I thought this was kind of an interesting observation from Rick Barnes in the post-game presser. He talked about how last year at this time you were without Zakai Ziegler. You had to win games like this where shots weren't falling, your offense was out of sorts. They had to kind of reinvent themselves on the offensive end, seeing what Jemai Meshack could give them that point guard, Santiago Vespi getting forced back into that role a little bit. So they knew they had to step up on the offensive end if they wanted to win games, which they were able to do, win 2, get to the second weekend like Tennessee has right now. He kind of compared what we saw tonight, where Tennessee shoots 33.8% from the field, like we said, 12% on three-pointers, to those teams, but now you have Zakai back.
Yeah.
Zakai, Rodney Terry, Texas head coach, he says don't connect it to all the credit, but the head of the snake is Zakai Ziegler and what he's been able to do on both sides of the floor. So just how much did that remind you of one of those games from last year where it was fighting tooth and nail, like pulling teeth, getting a win, but also how nice is it to see that this team still can win in this fashion?
Yeah, I think that's the X factor for Tennessee, and like you said, it was, they get to the Sweet 16 last year in spite of, despite not having Zakai out there, and Rick Barnes was asked a lot about that this week. We heard yesterday, he talked about him, the DNA of this team it starts with Zakai Ziegler, and really almost kind of a comfort level having him there, and I think you saw that tonight. It didn't seem like Tennessee was flustered in any way, and I think a lot of that has to do with his confidence on the court, having his presence out there, and obviously you've got a lot of veterans on this team, that have been in these situations before. That certainly helps, but I think the glue is Zakai Ziegler, definitely, and you saw that tonight. I think that really bodes well for this Tennessee team going forward.
Now, at the moment, we don't know who Tennessee is going to play. We do know they're going to Detroit. I believe March 29th is the date that's set for that Sweet 16 matchup. If they win, it would be their second ever berth in the Elite Eight, first under Rick Barnes. It's between 3-seed Creighton, 11-seed Oregon. Last time I checked, it was probably at about a 2-point game near halftime, so it can go either way. By the time you're watching this, you probably know. But what do you want to see out of Tennessee in this game? Kind of, obviously you don't know the opponents, so you can't go too into depth.
Yeah.
But just kind of a quick thought on what does Tennessee need to do to reach that second ever Elite Eight?
I think getting back to shooting well. I mean, I know that's kind of an obvious one, especially given their past struggles in the postseason because of the lack of shooting. But I think that's the biggest thing. I think your defense is going to show up. The physicality is going to show up. It certainly did against St. Peter's. That was a physical game. That was a game where you could tell right from the jump that St. Peter's was going to try to match Tennessee, challenge Tennessee physically. Obviously, a team that plays in a lesser conference, but it was a really good defensive team statistically. Tennessee seems to answer the call when they're playing a physical team. I think that's a good sign. So I think that's going to show up either way. But I think you do definitely need to get back to hitting big shots, hitting from the perimeter. I don't think you're going to be able to rely on getting those dunks like Dalton talked about and try to make that your offense. I think that's going to be the biggest factor for this team, especially if you get a physical team like Creighton.
Well, we'll be in Detroit, so make sure to head over to VolReport.com to get our content leading up to those games, and then eventually when they do start playing in that second weekend of March Madness. I'll be back in Raleigh tomorrow, as well as Lady Vols prepare for their second round battle with 3-seed NC State, trying to get back to 3 straight Sweet 16s under Kelly Harper. Spring practice still underway. Baseball couldn't get it done tonight against Ole Miss. Took game 1 of the series, game 2 had a lead in the 9th inning, kind of let it go away, squandered that opportunity to take the series. Now they're going to go for it tomorrow, game 3. I believe you'll be there for that game. So everything you need under the umbrella of Tennessee Athletics, we have it over at VolReport.com. Make sure you check it out. Links to everything you need is in the description. Thank you for watching.